Birds are singing, beautiful morning. You're talking about Rahu Ketu transits. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani, help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic astrology. If you want to learn Vedic astrology step by step, join me on 33 days Vedic astrology bootcamp. Link is in the description, or I would highly recommend you, if you are starting into Vedic astrology, go and watch my live free training on my website, which will help you to get started into Vedic astrology. It is a 3-hour plus live training which will help you to get started into Vedic astrology, which will help you to how to read your birth chart, what are the elements of it and so on, right? And you can start making small predictions for yourself as well at the end of this that session. Okay, very useful session. Go and check out the link into the description and start watching it. Rahu Ketu transits for 2022. Rahu will be moving from the sign of Taurus to the sign of Aries, and Ketu will be moving from the sign of Scorpio to the sign of Libra. Okay, these two planets always move backwards, they always have a retrograde motion, and they are always 180 degrees away from each other. So it is always 17, 28, 39, 410, 511 and 612 axis for Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu is moving from the sign of Taurus to the sign of Aries, and what it means and what are the impact for all of us, let's try to understand it. Before watching this video, I would highly recommend you to watch couple of videos wherein we have discussed as in transits versus Dasha. Another video is how to judge a transit, okay, and so on. I personally believe that transits are not so important unless you know the dashas. Okay, transits are like an triggering points. Like transits will trigger the events which are signified by dasha. So the most important in any horoscope is the yogas, which shows the potential for any person to have certain events, right? Let's say you have a powerful Dana yogas, shows you will have ability to make wealth, okay, but it has a certain timing of it, okay. The timing can be seen with the combined effect of Mahadasha as well as the transits. So potential we see in the yogas in your chart, or the combination of planets in your chart through lordships, yoga karaka, kendra, trine, all those parameters, and we see, okay, we confirmed, okay, now this person has the yoga. Now the question is when. To answer the question of when, we have to go to dashas, and to see the pinpointed trigger events, we use the transits. So don't overhype any transit. Okay, let's say you have Taurus Ascendant and now Rahu is transiting through Aries. Okay, it means certain things, we'll talk about it, but doesn't mean your life is going to end. Don't just be absolute about one single parameter, no matter how profound that is. Look at all other parameters of the chart as well, then you will, and then also there is a room for making errors, right? So don't jump and make your life difficult just because you see certain challenging transits. So most important is yoga, dasha and transit combined together, and not just looking at transits as an absolute prediction. Okay, yes, transit is a predictive tool, but used at the end of the analysis to pinpoint the triggered events. Rahu moving into the sign of Aries. What is the sign of Aries? Aries is the sign of individuality, curiosity, starting new things, and being on your own. This is the first sign, which is a fire element sign ruled by Mars and is a Chara sign. which initiates things, which starts things. And Rahu is abundant energy, right? Rahu is right now into the sign of Taurus and is moving into the sign of Aries. It is moving from the Kritika in Taurus to the Kritika in Kritika Nakshatra in Aries. So the Kritika Nakshatra in Aries is aggressive, and the sign of Aries ruled by Mars is also the sign of aggression. So we have to control our anger during this time. No matter where you have Rahu, Aries placed in your chart, through this transit, the theme of this Rahu and Ketu will be the same. It will just play out differently for different ascendant and for different houses. But Rahu in Aries is all about the individuality. Transit of Ketu from the Scorpio, which is emotional vulnerable sign, getting into the sign of Libra, which is more of a sign of balance. So the Ketu is the planet which is the planet of backward things, things which are orthodox. We also take it to the extreme level that it is the planet of the past life, right? But the point is, it is the planet of the backward things, and Rahu is a futuristic planet. So when Rahu, a futuristic planet, goes into the sign of Aries, it is the sign of innovation, beginning of new things. That Rahu in the sign of Aries is extremely competitive. Like, he wants to achieve those things no matter what. He is ready for the cutthroat competition. He is capable of handling that competition and winning it at any cost. Okay, that's Rahu into the sign of Aries. When Rahu is in the sign of Aries and Ketu is in the sign of Libra, you will see that it is the axis of 1-7. It also shows one has to bring in the social balance in one's life by finding one's own individuality. 1-7 houses are complementary to each other. Okay, don't think that one is opposite to 7, so it is exactly opposite to it. Yes, it is opposite to it, but it helps you to really make your first house even better. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have first house is your physical body and 7th house is your partners, right? So if you work on your physical body, if you have an attractive body, if you have a healthy body, there is a better chance that you will attract a better partner for yourself, the 7th house things, right? So if you achieve the recognition, if you achieve more and more success in your life, in your physical realm, you're going to get the appreciation from the 7th house. Okay, so the first house is the house of dharma and the 7th house is the house of kama. Okay, so always you have to follow the dharma and kama will be taken care of by. But if you go on to the kama, if you forget your body and just run after the partners without taking care of yourself, they don't find you attractive because you're not taking care of yourself, so you're not attractive to them. So always follow the dharma houses and the kama houses will be taken care of. Why am I talking about the houses when we are talking about the signs? We're talking about this Rahu into the sign of Aries, Ketu into the sign of Libra, and they have the vibes of first and 7th house as well. So Rahu in the Aries is very much like Rahu in the first house, and Ketu in the Libra is very much like a Ketu in the 7th house. Okay, but those get manifested through these signs, and we also have to look at the nakshatra. The Kritika in Aries is altogether different than Kritika in Taurus, right? Rahu moved into the Taurus in October 2021 in Kritika, then it will move to the Aries part of Kritika in April, around mid-April, around 12 or 15 April, and in July it will go to Bharani. Okay, so the combination would be Rahu is in Aries in Kritika in April, and Ketu will be into the sign of Libra in the Vishakha nakshatra, and in July it will go to the nakshatra of Swati, and interestingly Swati is Dasha ruled by Rahu. This is how it is going to move in 2022. Most importantly, you always have to think about the lords of these houses. Always keep an eye on the Ketu's Lord Venus and Rahu's Lord Mars. You know, they keep on changing quickly as compared to Saturn and Jupiter. So you might miss them, but always keep a track of these two planets. When they get debilitated, the house where Rahu is placed in or transiting, you know, will have some unusual event, right? So always look at them, and there are many other things as well, like the lords of the Rahu Ketu conjuncting with each other, you know. So always look at these aspects. Don't just look at the transits blindly and think that this is what is going to happen. There is different layers to it. Another thing about Rahu into the sign of Aries is it will bring in confusion about the self. You know, Bharani Nakshatra is, when Rahu goes into the Bharani Nakshatra, it will literally amplify the confusion around the self. And it is also about uh, confusion around your individuality. So you have to take care of it. So the social balance and the individuality is the theme of Rahu Ketu during this time. Let's talk about the Aries Ascendant. For Aries Ascendant, this transit is going from the 12th house and is coming into the first house and second house. Aries Ascendant is ruled by Mars, and you know, the 7th house is also ruled by Venus, and now it has Rahu Ketu placed in it. So during this transit, you will have altogether difference in your personality. You will have a different outlook. You will have a different approach towards looking at life. Okay, you always have to, if you have any planets placed in your ascendant, Aries ascendant, let's say you have Jupiter placed in the first house in Aries, and now Rahu moves over this. Okay, extremely good for you, right? It will give you that right direction in life. It will make right changes in your personality. Okay, this is how it changes. Okay, it's not just that, you know, going over the first house is like a change in the personality, but if you have any planets placed in here, it will change everything for that person. Okay, so examine your chart carefully. Don't just blindly follow the transits. I repeat, Taurus Ascendant. For Taurus Ascendant, this is the change from the first house to the 12th house, right? For the 12th house is the house of the abstract things, and now Rahu also is the planet of abstract things. So the planet of confusion and abstract things comes into the house which is all about abstract things. Okay, so you will be attracted towards spirituality, you know, all other subjects like, you know, aliens and life out, away from the earth and so on. These are the subjects which are abstract, and you know, you will be attracted toward these subjects. And also it will make you work during this time to pay off certain debts. Now focus on the placement of Mars and Venus in your chart, and as well as in transit, to see how things work for you for these two houses. Don't just get afraid, okay, I have it in 12th and 6th, so nothing is going to happen. No. So just look at the Venus and Mars as well, and that will give you great ideas about how you can make most out of it. Let's talk about the Gemini Ascendant. Gemini Ascendant, Rahu is transiting through the 11th house. 11th house transit from the Gemini Ascendant. For Gemini Ascendant, the Rahu is transiting from the 11th house of gains. The house of amplifying things comes into the house of gains. So you will experience huge gains during this time. Okay, but do you really will get it? Check your Dasha, check the yogas, and then it will be confirmed that you will get it. Okay, but the indication, the trigger about the Rahu into the 11th house is that you might get certain huge gains during this time. Okay, 11th house Rahu also will expand your circle of friends. you will have friends from the different culture, you will connect with the foreign people, you will connect with the friends from the different culture. Okay, is a very good combination to connect with a person from the different culture, different spiritual background, different spiritual movement. Okay, and the key for the Gemini Ascendant to open their heart and keep their life interesting and don't keep their life boring and monotonous. They have to, you know, break the routine. They have to express themselves. Is the key for Gemini Ascendant. Cancer Ascendant. For Cancer Ascendant, Rahu is transiting from the 10th house of the horoscope. Excellent. Okay. Now the theme of the Cancer Ascendant would be career and emotions. So this is, this is like work-life balance. 10th house, 4th house. So it is always about what you do and how you feel. You have to do things which feels good, right? And keep doing things. You will, you will get promoted. You will accept the bigger responsibilities in your work area. You will always be looking at things in a different way at work because of the impact of Rahu, because Rahu is a futuristic planet. Very few people will understand what you're talking about unless it is getting manifested, right? But at the same time, you have to cheer up yourself. Okay, sometimes you have mastered your emotions. Don't play around with your emotions. When it comes to emotions, don't try to be, absolute. Work on the self and do things which feels good. That will improve your life during this time. Okay, but yes, I surely see the rise in career. People will appreciate you. Abundant energy like Rahu is into the 10th house of work, makes you visible in your workplace. Excellent placement for the transits to have. Leo Ascendant. For Leo Ascendant, this transit is happening into the 9th house. Rahu will transit into the 9th house of the Leo sign. Okay, and which is like the house of Bhagya. So the house of Bhagya has an abundant energy of Rahu. So this placement will test your belief system. This transit will make you believe in certain things. Okay, it's not always about doing things or believing in things with your intelligence. You are intelligent, but at the same time, this time will test you with your belief system, what you believe in. Okay, whether what you believe in works or not, you will get that proof here. Okay, or if you want to start something new within this time. Okay, let's say you want to start meditating and you are not sure enough that it will help you. This is the time you will deep dive into meditation and you will be surprised. Wow, it works. This is the leap of faith for the Leo Ascendant. Okay, and it is also ruled by Mars, which is a Yogakaraka planet. Now see, look at the Mars placement in transit, not in your natal chart. Okay, natal chart placement will have its impact, but more so keep a track of Mars and Venus. That will help you, to get started into a new belief system or new spiritual practice. Virgo sign, the Virgo Ascendant. Virgo Ascendant, it goes into the 8th house, right? It goes into the 8th house, and Rahu goes into the 8th house, and Ketu is into the 2nd house, into the sign of Libra. So during this time you will travel a lot, and it will also bring in a lot of trust issues within you. Okay, and you have to work with your belief system, not belief system as in the trust issues, and you have to put in a lot of belief in other people. You have to make them capable, and that's what is going to improve your life. Okay, Libra Ascendant. Libra Ascendant is a mirror of Aries Ascendant, right? For Aries Ascendant, it was Rahu in the first, Ketu in the 7th in transit. For Libra, it is the Ketu in the first and Rahu in the 7th house in transit. So during this time, so Libra in the first house and Ketu in the first house during this transit will make you work a lot. You will forget about everything else in your life. Okay, so you will miss the fun. Piece of advice for the Libra Ascendant people is to, don't get overindulged into work during this time and be easy on yourself. Now, Scorpio Ascendant. For Scorpio Ascendant, Mars is ruling the Lagna. Okay, and the Rahu will be transiting through the 6th house. In fact, it's a very good placement. Rahu in the Artha Trikona house, Upachaya house, transiting through the Upachaya house, right? So, one thing I would say that it will make you fearless, it will make you disciplined, and it will make you deep dive into your work. Okay, at the same time, it will also bring in some kind of enmity. So I would recommend avoid any kind of enmity if you have. That will, make your progress easier. And if you have any planets placed into the 6th house, keep an eye on them. Okay, especially the Papagraha. Okay, let's say you have Jupiter placed in here. So it can also show that you will be over optimistic, right? So you always have to be conscious about the Rahu energy, which is about confusion, which is about the illusion, right? But at the same time, Rahu is an extremely powerful and abundant energy. The ascendant of Sagittarius, Sagittarius Ascendant, and Rahu is into the 5th house, transiting through the 5th house, and Ketu is transiting through the 11th house. So when Rahu is transiting through the 5th house is the house of love and romance. 5th house is the house of your education. 5th house is the house of your hobbies, right? So you will have you will put in a lot of effort into the 5th house things. Like you might have some hobby, or you might have an affair during this time. Okay, you might have a relationship during this time, but at the same time, when it comes to career, you will see a lot of ups and downs in your career. Why? Because the 5th house is 8th from the 10th, right? So the 5th house is 8th from the 10th, which is like an up and down of your career. And the confusing, abundant energy like Rahu into the 8th house from the career shows a lot of ups and downs in your career. Okay, so you have to make most of those ups and downs as well. And one more thing, you don't have to get distracted by all the new things in your life. Okay, so just be consistent with whatever you're doing, and you will be all right during this time, and you will absorb all the ups and downs in your life during about the career, I mean to say, right? So the next is the sign of Cancer, not Cancer, the Capricorn, and now Rahu transits through the 4th house, Ketu transits through the 10th house. Capricorn Ascendant, you will always be busy during this time. Okay, you will always be doing one thing or the other during this time. So you have to keep your social balance intact. Okay, and it will also help you to work on your emotions. Again, this is the 4th 10 axis, which is the house of work and life balance, right? We talked about the work life for the 410 in I guess Leo, not Leo, the Cancer. This is the mirror image of the Cancer, which is Capricorn. Now Rahu is in the 4th, Ketu is in the 10th, transiting from the 4th and 10th. So now you will have a lot of vulnerabilities of emotions. Okay, you will question yourself, am I doing the right things? Let's say you have started something new and you're not confident about it, because now again the question here is whether do you love what you do. Okay, this is the biggest question for Capricorn Ascendant. Let's talk about the Aquarius Ascendant. For Aquarius Ascendant, Rahu is transiting through the 3rd house, Ketu is transiting through the 9th house. So Aquarius Ascendant is Rahu is transiting through the 3rd house and Ketu is transiting through the 9th house. So this is the time to expand your communication. If you are reading certain books, you will read books which are out of your subjects. Magnetic communication, like you will be appreciated for your communication during this time. Okay, let's say if you are into public speaking, or if you are not into public speaking, you accidentally happen to speak in front of people, you will be appreciated for it. And even if you do it consciously, you will be appreciated, because the Rahu has the capacity to sway the masses. 3rd house is the house of communication, and it also looks at the 7th, 11th and 9th house. Rahu has the capacity to sway away the masses. Rahu in the 3rd house, the house of communication, he works like a magician. He mesmerizes the crowd, he influences the crowds with his magnetic speeches, okay, the communication. So explore the communication part of it as well, and don't believe anything blindly is the key for you. Okay, now the Pisces Ascendant. For Pisces Ascendant, Ketu is coming into the 8th house and Rahu is coming into the 2nd house. 2nd house is the house of your tangible things, is the house of your nourishment, is the house of your food. And 8th house is the house of your in-laws, is the house of which is like an 11th to your career. 8th house is 11th from the 10th, and you have Ketu transiting through that house. So when Rahu is transiting through the 2nd house, it is all about the needs, it's all about the money. Okay, so you will have greater and better opportunities to earn money. Okay, Rahu can also bring in certain kind of confusion around what you need in life. You have to be clear. You don't need any confusions in life, because Rahu is about confusion. Okay, and it is also it will also make you interested into occult science. You will start reading Vedas, you will start reading Bhagavatam, you start reading Bhagavad Gita and so on, right? And you will have a lot of other things to do which are more inclined towards the occult and mysticism in your life. Okay, so this was Pisces. So yes, this was Rahu Ketu transits for 12 ascendants, as much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys. If you want to learn Vedic astrology step by step, join me on 33 days Vedic astrology bootcamp, lifetime access. Or if you want to learn Vedic astrology, watch my free live training, and these 2 videos on your screen will help you to really deep dive into Vedic astrology, sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibrations. See you in the next videos. Love and peace. Namaste.